啊，刚才出去买菜去了，当然不是末日抢购啊，不是买大便纸啊，就是正常的牛奶啊什么的。好，我们来看第1.3节。Let's see, financial markets and the economy 和宏观经济和经济的整体之间的关系。Financial market. We stated earlier that real assets determine the wealth of an economy, while financial assets merely represent claims on real assets. Nevertheless, financial assets and the markets in which they trade play several crucial roles. In developed economies, financial assets allow us to make the most of the economy's real assets. 这说的比较笼统啊。什么叫做 make the most? The informational role of financial assets. 信息功能第一个。Stock prices reflect investors' collective assessment of a firm's current performance and future prospects. 集体的共识相当于 collective assessment. When the market is more optimistic about the firm, its share price will rise. That higher price makes it easier for the firm to raise capital and therefore encourages investment. 良性循环啊。In this manner, stock prices play a major role in the allocation of capital in market economies, directing capital to the firms and applications with the greatest perceived potential. Allocation of capital, 资本的分配，最重要的一个功能之一。Do capital markets actually channel resources to the most efficient use? 理想的情况下，它应该是最有效的。At times, they appear to fail miserably. Company 说一个反例啊 ，companies or whole industries can be hot for a period of time. Think about the dot-com bubble that peaked in 2000. 互联网泡沫 attract a large flow of investors' capital and then fail after only a few years. The process seems highly wasteful. 会产生浪费。But we need to be careful about our standard of efficiency. No one knows with certainty which ventures will succeed and which will fail. It is therefore unreasonable to expect that markets will never make mistakes. 不要对 market 要求太高啊。The stock market encourages allocation of capital to those firms that appear at the time to have the best prospects. Many smart, well-trained, well-paid professionals analyze the prospects of firms whose shares trade on the stock market. Stock prices reflect their collective judgment. Collective judgment. OK. 还是比较宽容它对这个 market 一个比较客观的一个认识。大家普遍的认识也不一定是永远是对的，对吧？You may well be skeptical about resource allocation through markets. Skeptical 表示持怀疑态度。But if you are, then take a moment to think about the alternatives. 这比看谁差了，对吧？如果没有 ，Would a central planner make fewer mistakes? Would you prefer that Congress make these decisions? To paraphrase Winston Churchill's comment about democracy, markets may be the worst way to allocate capital, except for all the others that have been tried. 应该对，是大家字面上意思啊。Winston Churchill 丘吉尔总会有一些比较有智慧的这种引言啊，经常一个智者形象。Consumption timing 这第二个资本市场第二个功能。Some individuals are earning more than they currently wish to spend. Others, for example, retirees, spend more than they currently earn. How can you shift your purchasing power from high earnings to low earnings periods of life? Okay. One way is to store your wealth in financial assets. In high earnings periods, you can invest your savings in financial assets such as stocks and bonds. In low earnings periods, you can sell these assets to provide funds for your consumption needs. By so doing, you can shift your consumption over the course of your lifetime, thereby allocating your consumption to periods that provide the greatest satisfaction. Thus, financial markets allow individuals to separate decisions concerning current consumption from constraints that otherwise would be imposed by current earnings. 这种情况用来养老啊，在美国好像很多情况，他的老年人退休年轻的时候，收入的一部分放到股市，然后老的时候来用。这个在中国现在可能不是特别流行，暂时没有这样的。总之这是一个功能吧，养老。Allocation of risk， 对风险这块了。第三个功能 ，Virtually all real assets involve some risk. When Toyota builds its auto plants, for example, it cannot know for sure what cash flows those plants will generate. Financial markets and the diverse financial instruments traded in those markets allow investors with the greatest taste for risk to bear that risk. OK， 就刚才之前说的那些 derivatives 衍生品。While others less risk-tolerant individuals can, to a greater extent, stay on the sidelines. Stay on the sidelines. Stay on the sidelines 这是个俗语啊，这是一个俗语，我看看它的意思。哟，那不好用了。我那字典不太好用了，查一下。Stay on the sideline， 保持观望。OK， 保持观望。Stay on the sidelines. For example, if Toyota raises the funds to build its auto plant by selling both stocks and bonds to the public. If Toyota raises the funds to build its auto plant by selling both stocks and bonds to the public, the more optimistic or risk-tolerant investors can buy shares of its stock, while the more conservative ones can buy its bonds. 同时发行两种，一个是股票，一个是债券。债券就借钱，等于借钱，不是拥有。就像刚才我们讲到过它的区别，所以它直接发行了两种类型的金融产品的话，满足不同risk profile 的用户。一个叫做taste for risk。Greatest taste for risk， 最胆儿大的。Okay, because the bonds promise to provide a fixed payment, the stockholders bear most of the business risk, but reap potentially higher rewards. 这获利它用 reap 这个词啊，特逗。Reap potentially higher rewards. Thus, capital markets allow the risk that is inherent to all investments to be borne by the investors most willing to bear that risk. 这就是金融资本市场的一个特性，对于风险和收益之间的，就是各种各样的口味的人都有一份属于你的选择，大概这意思。它有这个机理啊。This allocation of risk also benefits the firms that need to raise capital to finance their investments. When investors are able to select security types with the risk-return characteristics that best suit their preferences, each security can be sold for the best possible price, This facilitates the process of building the economy's stock of real assets. 这些 argument 都是比较有力的 argument， 所以资本市场理想的状况下永远不会倒啊。Separation of ownership and management， 这个所有权和管理权分离。Many businesses are owned and managed by the same individual. This simple organization is well suited to small businesses and, in fact, was the most common form of business organization before the Industrial Revolution. 工业革命之前主要是这个。Today, however, with global markets and large-scale production, the size and capital requirements of firms have skyrocketed. For example, at the end of 2015, General Electric listed on its balance sheet about 57 billion of property, plant, equipment, and total assets of 493 billion. Property and total assets. Okay. Corporations of such size simply cannot exist as owner-operated firms. 这企业的管理之间相关的啊，企业变得巨无霸了，那没有办法去由它的拥有者、创始人来完全管理啊。GE actually has more than 500,000 stockholders with an ownership stake in the firm proportional to their holdings of the shares. 就是股份制啊，经典的股份制。Such a large group of individuals obviously cannot actively participate in the day-to-day management of the firm. Instead, they elect a board of directors. 叫股东大会，董事会 Board of directors that in turn hires and supervise the management of the firm. 我们学金融还同时涉及到一些公司的这个管理。This structure means that the owners and management of the firm are different parties. This gives the firm a stability that the owner-managed firm cannot achieve. For example, if some stockholders decide they no longer wish to hold shares in the firm, they can sell their shares to other investors with no impact on the management of the firm. Thus, financial assets and the ability to buy and sell those assets in the financial markets allow for easy separation of ownership and management. 股权的转让主要是通过在金融市场上进行的，所以金融市场有这个作用。How can all of the disparate owners of the firm, ranging from large pension funds holding hundreds of thousands of shares to small investors who can hold only a single share, agree on the objectives of the firm? Again, the financial markets provide some guidance. All may agree that the firm's management should pursue strategies that enhance the value of their shares. Such policies will make all shareholders wealthier and allow them all to better pursue their personal goals, whatever those goals might be. Do managers really attempt to maximize firm value? It is easy to see how they might be tempted to engage in activities not in the best interest of shareholders. 经典的矛盾就是管理者和股东之间的这个矛盾。For example, they might engage in empire building or avoid risky projects to protect their own jobs or overconsume luxuries such as corporate jets, reasoning that the cost of such perquisites is largely borne by the shareholders. 管理者滥用他们的这个权限了。Perquisites 精品临时津贴 perquisite, a thing regarded as a special right, a privilege, as a result of one's position. OK, 这个比较准确啊，特权啊，一些特权。Perquisites. 哎呦，perquisites is largely borne by the shareholders. Okay, these potential conflicts of interest are called agency problems. Agency problems. Agency problems. 代理人问题，这叫做代理问题，字面上理解，代理问题。Because managers who are hired as agents of the shareholders may pursue their own interest instead. OK， 这个没有太多意思，了解一下就可以了。Several mechanisms have evolved to mitigate potential agency problems. First, compensation plans tie the income of managers to the success of the firm. A major part of the total compensation to top executives is often in the form of shares or stock options, which means that the managers will not do well unless the stock prices increases, benefiting shareholders. Of course, we've learned that overuse of options can create its own agency problem. Options can create an incentive for managers to manipulate information to prop up a stock price temporarily, giving them a chance to cash out before the price returns to a level reflective of the firm's true prospects. More on this shortly. 这个大家应该也比较熟悉了。就是如果完全用股权激励的话，它也存在它自己的问题啊。Second, while boards of directors have sometimes been portrayed as defenders of top management, they can and in recent years increasingly have forced out management teams that are underperforming. 股东大会也可能就开除掉他们选择的管理层。Third, outsiders such as security analysts and large institutional investors such as mutual funds or pension funds monitor the firm closely and make the life of poor performers at the least uncomfortable. Such large investors today hold about half of the stock in public listed firms in the U.S. 机构投资者占一半，总额的一半。我已经忘了这一小段讲什么了 ，title 是什么的 ？OK， 管理层和拥有者之间的，这段没什么意思啊。Finally, bad performers are subject to the threat of takeover. If the board of directors is lax in monitoring the management, unhappy shareholders in principle can elect a different board. Or lax 表现的不佳的应该是。Lax 三文鱼，我的妈呀 ！What kind of translation is this？ 这没有这个，我看 stardic salad lax。Not sufficiently strict, severe， 就是比较松散的，对，松散。Unhappy shareholders. Okay. However, in recent years, the odds of a successful proxy contest. Proxy contest 出现了一个 proxy contest， 一个概念。They can do this by launching a proxy contest in which they seek to obtain enough proxies, rise to vote the shares of other shareholders to take control of the firm and vote in another board. Historically, this threat was usually minimal. Shareholders who attempt such a fight have to use their own funds, while management can defend itself using corporate coffers. Corporate coffers, 这不知道什么意思。Corporate coffers. Coffers. Strong box. 保险箱 OK 保险箱保险箱 However, in recent years, the odds of a successful proxy contacts have increased along with the rise of so-called activist investors. 这段不读了，没什么意思。看一下。Okay, examples: activist, investors, and corporate control. 我把这个字典修好之后再继续啊。不过需要重启一下，我们这小节先到这儿吧。